that way. I don't take you away from your work schedule, and then I gotta probably open
Okay.
up too.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so here we go. Today we got Sam Newton from New York, right? New York,
Yes, Brooklyn, New York. Yes,
Brooklyn.
BK. BK. Yes, yes.
So you got it.
Um,
Go ahead.
hmm?
Go.
Yeah, yeah. Born in Brooklyn, raised in Brooklyn. Now live in Jersey City. The commute was like 3 hours going to Jersey and coming back, so it was like 6 hours plus out of my day. So
Damn.
it was a nice little travel. Now it's a bit easier. It's like an hour and a half to half an hour if I take a Uber. Hour and a half with two buses. But I don't mind the travel.
No, you don't mind travel. It was
No.
I think I was there. Ubered everywhere, but I didn't really see. I didn't know y'all like drove over there that much over there. I don't know why I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of people that drive. But even to this day, I don't have a license, and I've never owned a car.
Oh
But
wow.
everywhere I've lived in Brooklyn, Kelly, there was literally every place I've lived in Brooklyn, maybe minimum of 100 feet was a bus stop, and
Oh,
around the corner or across the street from there was another two bus stops. So it just didn't make sense for me to get a car, to be
yeah,
honest.
yeah, yeah.
And my sister always would struggle in trying to find a parking spot because whoever parked on our block was parking from 3 blocks away from where they park. And people push each other around.
Oh
So I
yeah,
was like, you know what? I just didn't. I never minded the traveling, and it did take a lot out of me. So it was a journey.
yeah. I know when I was there, like man, all you hear is people blowing their horns and yelling out the
Oh
window.
yeah, yeah. New York is the
And,
it's a city like no other, man.
yeah,
You get that straight language, man.
yeah, for real.
Get the
It's like
out of the way.
it's like
Yes.
it's constant moving, man. I remember like
Oh man, it's
hell,
it's like no other.
you got to move because everybody like
Yeah, yeah. Everybody's in a rush to go nowhere. To be honest, that's what I
yeah,
always
yeah.
say.
So you got
It's the
any social networks you want to promote?
Yeah, yeah, the company I'm with, man, Air Graphics Entertainment, AIRGRAPHISCS Entertainment. Then also AGNYC.pro. We're photographers, artists. We are a company that makes different type of photo booths. Uh, we can do just about anything that you need. We don't cook. That's the only thing. Um, we can throw down. But yeah, we make like different photo installations, like backgrounds. We can create them, draw them, get them printed, cut out.
Oh,
We're
cool.
we're masterminds.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know the owner of the other one, but I think I was on live one time when I jumped on and they said, "Ah, graphics." Ah, I'm like,
I
oh,
know, I know. Ivan's very territorial
yeah,
about that. And
yeah,
I talked. I was like, dude, he spells it different. If phonetically it sounds the same, but it's not the same.
yeah. And
You know.
I think I had. I don't know. I never saw y'all until after I had got mine because I never knew it. But then it was like, I don't know. It does sound the same, but like
Yeah,
that.
but there's so many other graphic companies out there that spell it just like yours or
Yeah,
even like ours. But it's like everybody does a little something different,
yeah,
and they're located in different places.
yeah. I know.
And
He does
yeah,
motorcycle helmets. It's the same spelling the way I spell mine.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
So tell
love
us
the
something
guy.
about yourself.
Um, I'm a jolly guy, man. Love making people smile. I'm a jokester.
Yeah, you seem
I
happy.
always say good morning. It's different. It could be 9 o'clock at night, and I'm saying good morning. I'm just known for that. You
Yeah.
know. I love airbrushing. I love art. I love any type of way to express and capture pictures. And Ergen, what's going on, brother? And I love photography also, man. Photography is another thing. I picked that up. I think my first camera was I was 11 years old. That was 87, and it
Oh
was a
wow.
Polaroid. It was a long one, and if you remember, we had to use was for the flash. It was a cube
Yo, yeah.
that
On
you had to
top, the little
twist
like
it. Oh man, it was like the best. And it dropped and broke, but the pictures I did take, I've always had a eye for capturing things. So,
yeah.
so years later, I ended up having it was like
Hold on, you robotic on me.
I did a portrait of Big Smalls, and it was like a tealish color. Uh, now, oh, we're back. So
Yeah,
like
you robotic and you still.
I took pictures of it, and
I think I lost you. I keep losing you.
I feel I'm so old school. I'm ready to get a hanger and get some foil.
Yeah, it seems like you're losing reception on you now.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
interesting. Oh man.
yeah. So how long you been airbrushing?
Interesting.
Can you hear
Let
me?
me know when we're good.
Can you hear me? No?
Yeah. It's like we're back in New York City again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I've been hearing you the whole time. I guess the audio's still letting it go through.
Yeah. So how long you been airbrushing?
Better part of 34 years, man.
Oh,
And
wow.
still learning. Still
Yeah.
learning, man. There's so many ways to do the same thing. And
Yeah.
so it's an interesting story. I tell the story a lot. I used to hang on Class and the Gates in Brooklyn, where I used to live years ago. I used to hang out with guys that were drug dealers, and I just wanted to be by them. At that time, I had 4 sisters, and to this day, I don't have any brothers. So I used to just get dressed, shower, get dressed, go literally across the street, hang out, do whatever with them, just talk. And I mean, I'll take occasional sip, but and some of them would die off, sadly, from
Yeah.
live by the sword, die by the sword. Some of them had like colostomy bags. And so one morning, the summer of '89, I woke up and I looked across the street and I was like, oh, let me see if they are over there. And it was probably about like 1:45 in the afternoon. I was like, oh, let me get myself dressed. And then I realized that, and I had an epiphany. I was like, I am my mother's only son. And I prayed, and I was very balanced that day. I just woke up and I said, Lord, I need something to help distract me, to get me, from being around them,
Yeah.
And so I think about 2 or 3 weeks later, I was on the way to Nostrand Avenue, Nostrand and Fulton. And so usually where I lived on Class and Gates, I usually zigzag up the blocks to get to Nostrand and Fulton. So this one block is Putnam and Bedford Avenue. I usually take a right and keep zigzagging up. So my inner voice told me, go straight. And I'm like, why? Go straight to Nostrand, then make a right. And I'm like, having a little conversation with myself. So, kind of like Joan of Arc kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, whatever. Now, mind you, at the same time, that summer, I was in a dance group. We had painted our jeans. I had Incredible Hulk, Dick Tracy, the Kwame logo with the polka dots, and I had a couple other things on my jeans. So by the time I walked past Putnam and Bedford and got to Nostrand and Putnam, I made that right, and I ended up bumping into a guy. And he looked out at my jeans. He's like, "Oh, cool jeans, man." I was like, "Oh, thank you." And as I'm looking up and I see his jeans, I'm like, "How come your jeans are awesome? They're way better than mine." And how come yours is not cracking? Because I had like 2-3 layers.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, it's airbrush." And I'm like, "Air what?" And so that was the summer of '89.
Oh, wow.
I think it was mid-July, and his name was Ron Miller, and Ron was the first one to ever get me into airbrushing. So and it was odd. If I never made that prayer, that honest prayer, I
It kept
never would
sparking
have.
straight.
Yeah, man, and it's been a love-hate relationship with the airbrush, But though I've been an artist as early as 5 or 6. And I think that was '81. So always had paint in my blood and
Yeah.
a brush on my finger.
Oh, that's
You
nice.
know,
Yeah.
yeah.
So So what airbrush did you do? So you started hanging out with him and he taught you how to airbrush? Or?
Oh yeah, man. So my very first airbrush was, thank God, to my aunt that's still alive. Her name is Maxine Newton. She sent me um it was a check, a personal check for my birthday / Christmas present. Because my birthday
Uh-oh. There you go again.
months. Wow. It was a
Yes. Hold up.
deep easy.
Sam.
R. Kelly, this is happening.
Yeah.
Move closer to the router. Interesting.
I know. I'm close to
Wow.
mine too. My Wi-Fi right there.
That's insane because I've streamed. Yeah, here's the interesting thing, man. I've streamed movies. I have watched multiple things, and oh gosh,
You never had this problem, huh?
no, no.
So start over about the check. So, I mean, what
Yeah,
got
yeah.
you
So,
again?
I went to Pearl Paint with that $150 check, got my first D500 compressor, Pache, and I put probably like an extra 30 or $40 into a VL Pache. And man, that was my first airbrushing compressor. It had a couple colors. And that
Yeah.
was my first experience of,
The big glass
um,
jar.
oh
Yeah, the glass jar.
gosh. Yeah, and let me tell you something. That the funny thing is, I ran that compressor so bad, and I was a young kid. I was 13. I didn't. It's so bad. The compressor will overheat. So when something's too hot, what do? You either put ice in it or
Yeah.
put it in the fridge. I
Yeah.
literally took the compressor and would put it in my freezer,
Oh wow, to cool it off.
and then I would take it out when it was warm, and I didn't know about moisture and all these things. I
Yeah.
was just, man, it's just working.
Yeah.
So at that
Learn
same time, I met another artist. His name was Starter. He lived around the corner, and this guy was amazing. Like, so this was like March of 1990. This guy would be in front of Woolworth. That's a name you don't know. I mean, you don't hear anymore.
Yeah, you don't hear
I'm
anymore.
sure you.
Yeah.
It was on Fulton and Albemarle, I think. And he would go in front, and they had this cement like platform. It would be for plants, but it was totally cemented. And this dude would sit there and just paint Homer the Clown, Bart, Homer Simpson, or any character. And at the same time, he had no phone, he had no reference, all from the top of his head.
Oh wow.
And
Freehand.
and eventually, I had Ron and him meet, and Starter got into airbrushing because of the three of us, But but just being into art, man, it was just always a great thing, And my father's family, my grandmother and grandfather, they were both master tailors.
Mm.
And so, at one point, I really wanted to have a clothing line, you
Yeah.
know.
Hey, keep
And
going. Let me run open this door for somebody real quick. Keep
cool,
going.
cool.
I can hear you.
Yeah. So, yeah, just being creative, man. Just always wanting to do things. I never could figure out a logo design for myself. That was one of the things. It's easy to. I find it always easier to create something for someone as opposed to getting something for yourself, because you overthink it. Then you're like, oh, I don't know, maybe I can tweak it. Keep going with it, But it was pretty cool. I never came out with a clothing line. I did eventually. I had sketches of clothes that I had, and I was this close to becoming understudy to Carl Kanai.
Oh wow.
So I think this was 92. I used to work with a friend of mine, and his aunt. We would sell her magnets. It was Afrocentric magnets, They were like walnuts, and it would be casted, hand painted, and we had this large 8 foot by 4 foot metal sheet metal, and they would stay on there. And we would sell them. And so what happened is this lady came in. We were at Boys and Girls High School, and the lady's like, "Oh, I like this. I'll take this. I'll take this. Oh, my son makes those jeans." I was like, "What?
Oh yeah.
These ain't fake."
Uh,
She's like, "No, my son's Carl Canal." I'm like, "What? What?"
oh.
uh, what'd you say? And so eventually through her, I met him when he was at Macy's downtown Brooklyn. We talked a couple times, and I showed him some sketches. And he was impressed. Um, Sadly, at I think a month later, he ended up moving from New York to LA, and he asked me, "Oh, lost." Oh, yeah.
No, I can hear you.
I just want to get a hammer.
I
I
can
should get
still
like
hear
a
you.
metal hanger. Hold on. I'm gonna hold my Dora Milaje. Get some signal. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
what
can still
ended up
hear
so what ended up happening, yeah, he ended up moving from New York to California, and he called me up. He's like, "Listen, I'm doing a move. I'm moving and getting a little bigger with the company. You can come be my understudy." And I had to make a decision. That was 92. I was in my second year of high school. So and I was like, it's that my fork in the road was, again, I am my mother's only child. I have to finish high school. So I told
you.
him no, and he was like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can't just quit." I'm not one to take risk. I get very scared. It was just high school or live my life as a fashion designer, and
Yeah.
I was 16 at that time. But I stayed in high school, and but it was pretty cool. You know,
That's cool.
I
Do you
think every
regret
once in
it?
a while, what if? Don't regret it. It's just one of those things. I wish I could get a 5 minute window in what would have been.
What it would have been. Looking to the
I mean, I
future.
would still stay where I am right now. I would, have my 19-year-old. Still have the store. I know a lot, and I do a lot for what I have and where I am right now. It's just one of those things. I wonder.
Yeah.
Kind of like a twilight zone, my own personal twilight zone. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. Yeah. Been able to get a
uh,
glimpse at what you would have been.
yeah. And so, eventually, I ended up finding out that there was some guys in Manhattan. I think it was called the Manhattan Mall at the time. They were on the 7th floor. And it was these guys that were airbrushing. And Kelly, these guys were doing amazing stuff, knocking out. People were just lining up out their door. And I would go from East New York all the way to 34th Street and just stay there in the corner for hours and just
Watching, right? Yeah.
watch it. Yeah. And, never thought to pull out my pencil and just write down stuff. But I
Yeah.
would always try to remember by the time I get to the door.
Yeah.
And so one day, one of the guys, his name was Richie. Richie, Italian short dude. He's incredible. A lot of the guys there, it was 90 Physic, Richie, yeah, I think another one, I forget, Eddie, I think was another. But one of them sold me his. He had an airbrush. It was a HPBC. He's like, "Hey man, I see you come here a lot, and you never bother. So listen, I got this airbrush. I want to get rid of. It'll cost you $50."
Mm.
And I think that was a Friday. And on Fridays, my dad would give me $40 allowance. You know, so I was like, "Listen, man, all I got is $20, man. I promise. I'll come back next Tuesday. I'll give you next Friday. I'll give you another 20." He's like, "You know what? You're sincere. I believe you." Yeah. I was like, "You sure?" "No, hold it till I get you the rest of the money." He's like, "You know what? I like you so much. It's just $20. Give me $20."
Oh wow.
And that airbrush was, I think at that time, was like almost $200. And I used it a couple times. Didn't realize how great of a airbrusher was in the destroying that day.
Oh man.
This is
So that
stupid.
was coming up. You was coming up through the big hip hop area too when it was all.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
everybody
So
was.
I never met any of the guys from Shirt Kings till years later. Because Manhattan, where the Shirt Kings were, I think they were on Broadway and Lafayette. But I never ventured over there. Because Pearl Paint wasn't that far, but I went to Pearl Paint and just came back home from Canal Street,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, see some of these questions here. Yeah, so Ron, from time to time, he would teach me airbrushing, the little tips and tricks. So there was to express myself, I would do little paintings on canvas and put it in the window. We had a large window that was probably about about 4.5 feet wide by 8 feet tall. So I would put a piece in the window. So I get a knock at the door one night, and it was Ron. I was living in Brooklyn. So what happened is he's like, "Hey man, you did this Wolverine out here?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah. Is okay? You like it?" He's like, "Dude, this I think you're surpassing me." I'm like, "What?
Uh-oh.
That's not possible. Not possible." And I think I was 15. No, I was 17. 17. So that means that was 4.5 years later that I was airbrushing. But I didn't understand. But for him to say that to me,
Yeah.
like, wow, my original teacher. Now I've seen Ron do some incredible pieces, and I used to hang out with him and another woman named Ron downtown, and she gave me a chance, and I painted this Punisher on a jean jacket, and they never sold it, but they gave it to me. It was the tiniest thing, but I loved it.
Oh
You
wow.
know. But yeah, that was the first shop I ever worked in. But I would just watch him, and Ron did. It was a picture of the Predator versus Batman, and so he was the first one that taught me how to experiment with colors. So Batman is of course like a cobalt blue or blue.
Yeah.
So if you want to do other colors, put like a violet inside. Then
That'll
use
be
your
the
skin
shade. Yeah.
tone.
They use the
Oh man, it was like,
yeah.
oh my God, it's like I had contacts on, seeing through God's eyes, man. And he even gave Batman, I think, a gold cap. It was just like,
Oh
how
wow.
do you do this? And I wish I had pictures, man. I did have a camera back then, but the hard drive it broke years ago. Man.
Yeah.
But
Everybody used to use Photo Bucket back in the day and have all the stories, but now Photo Bucket's gone. I lost a lot of pictures.
oh no,
Yeah.
but almost makes you think like if you had one of those old computers
Yeah.
and possibly because a lot of videos I have they don't play on the current computers because the what is it called? The graphics card is way too advanced, of course, and it's some kind of player, something like a DAT player or something like that. But
a DivX or DIVX.
yeah.
Some player like that. Yeah.
Oh man, dude, so many great things. But wow. So eventually, I ended up working at a store in '88 called Canal Jean. Canal Jean, I was hired there as a gopher, basically. Whatever. Sean, I forgot what his name is. Sean Williams, I think. He would do all the illustrations, like any sales coming up on the jeans they sold, like Union Bay, Guess, Army Fatigue. It was a clothing store. Canal Jean was on Broadway and oh man, I forget what in Prince. Well, Prince was the first, whichever. So eventually, I found out there was a crew in there named a guy named Leroy, Annette, and Isaac, and they would paint. They would paint different things. They would do backgrounds, and they would get new clothes from whatever the store would get, and they would dressed the mannequins. And eventually Sean would catch me up there. I'm telling you, stop going up there. Stop going up there. Because I was his assistant. You know, I
Yeah.
think we worked on the third floor. No, yeah, third floor, but they were on the fifth floor. And
Y'all
yeah,
walls go tall, huh?
yeah,
I heard you say 7th floor in the mall. I was like, damn, 7th floor.
yeah. And in the Manhattan Mall, I think there were like 3 or 4 other floors in that mall. It was a tall mall. It's still there now. It's called 34th Street Mall or something like that. But yeah, so eventually Leroy was his name. He fought for me and eventually got me into the crew. And you know, it was amazing because we would just paint, do different things. They had this creepy part of the building where it was like, Kelly, I swear it was like maybe 1,000 mannequins. Just any leg or arm you wanted, female, male, you just went into this room. But it had a creepy feel to it, man. And I hated going in there. And it never had a good enough amount of light. And I never was smart enough to bring a flashlight or
Oh,
anything. You know, but so eventually the owner and his girlfriend, they took me and put me in security for some reason. Something was happening, and so I was in security, and they said, "Oh, we promise it's going to be 3 weeks," and it ended up turning into be 2 months, and I was so like depressed. I couldn't express myself. I couldn't be with my art family. You know what I mean? So a guy that used to work in Canal Jean, he ended up working at Pearl Paint. And the only time we went to Pearl Paint was when we had a business. A bias purchase or something like that. We would sign things, and you know the store would pay for it, but we would use it for art. You know, so my buddy that left Canal went to Pearl. He was quitting like almost 6 months later. He's like, "Yo, man, you need a job? They hiring. I'm about to leave in a week. I'll put in a good word." So
wow.
took him up on that, and eventually I got hired. And one of the scariest things that I was asked in the interview was, "Why should I hire you?"
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, and I was like, I'm really happy. I
Yeah.
like talking, and I love art,
Yeah.
you know. So and he bought it, you know, and his name was Lee. Lee was awesome. He was like Clint Eastwood's stunt double.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and yeah, man, and you know, I'll be honest, man. You know, I went there. I'll never forget. I went there with like 2% knowledge of art, and Kelly, I left Pearl. I was like 1,000%. I mean,
Oh,
my brain was just
overloaded with it.
oozing. Cause
Yeah.
all right, so have you ever heard of Pearl Paint?
No, I've never heard of Pro Paint. So it's like
Man,
an art store, or is it where they
dude,
actually
it
make
was
the paint?
the art store. So when I tell you, this place was like the Walmart of art stores.
Whoa.
So they had 5 floors. The fifth floor had I think it was the art department. No. It was a craft, like kind of like arts and crafts. Then it had ours for my floor was a 4th floor, which was markers, rulers, photo retouching, airbrush, tape. Then they had the 3rd floor. 3rd floor had specialty papers, notepads, drawing, sketching. 2nd floor had oils, acrylics, brushes, uh, alkaline, all type of old school painting. Then the 1st floor had like notepads, carrying cases, Mont Blancs, portfolio cases. Then the basement had canvases, raw canvas, frame canvas, loose canvas, stretcher bars. Then they had 3 other stores in the back.
Damn.
They had a frame department. So if you came in, yeah, most stores like how Michael's has, you had the framing bars, and then you can mount and do it yourself. Where they had a service for that. Next door to them was home decorating. Home decorating was any type of Benjamin Moore, acrylic, enamel paints, The first ever I heard it was a water-based enamel paint. Then they had the last store they had in the back was the craft department. So 5 floors, 3 stores in the back,
Damn.
and
What paint were y'all using back then?
Deca.
Deca.
Deca. It was very thin. It was like kind of like Jacquard
Okay,
back
yeah.
then. They didn't have too many colors. They were a little muted, but you just learn. You dealt with what you were given,
Yeah.
and then eventually Createx came on the scene, and it was a little weird using Createx, but I got to realize, how much how they have a bigger scale of colors.
Yeah.
Um,
Sure.
so funny story. So back, I met an artist named Kiko. Kiko, amazing dude, amazing. First ever portrait artist. He did a portrait of Michelangelo or someone in 23 minutes
Damn. They did it with paint or pencil?
with the airbrush,
Oh, damn.
dude. And I wish he showed me a picture of it, but I never took a picture of it, of his picture.
Yeah.
I wish I could have kept it, but so he would have me help him. We would do murals at night in East New York. So we were doing one of Roy Jones. When Roy Jones figured I'm a boxing, I'm a rap, and
Oh, yeah.
he had a song
those
called
dudes.
"Y'all Must Forgot." I'm like, oh my god. Well, it was a paid gig, so we went to East New York. No, we were going there 2 nights later, and so Kiko was like, just bring black, white, red, yellow, and blue. I'm like, all right, cool. You want me to bring brown? He's like, no. You sure? All right. So he sounded a little pissed off that I kept like, sure you don't want me to bring brown? You gonna bring it? No. Dude, just stop asking questions. So 2 nights later, I get there, we got the paint and everything. So what ended up happening, I was like, yo, you brought the brown? He's like, no, we're gonna make the brown. And I had such a blank look on my face. He turns, he's like, how long you been painting? You don't know how to make brown?
Oh, man.
And I was like,
You mix the colors?
no, I never mixed colors.
Yeah.
I just used what I had, This was, I was probably the first year in the working at Pearl. So this was like 99. So this is about 13 years in. Give it, no, 99, no, 10 years in airbrushing. So he showed me, he was like, all right, let's get past this. I'm gonna teach you how to mix colors. And I had a lot of embarrassing moments, though they weren't like blow up moments, but it's like, okay, the Slumdog Millionaire, you're gonna learn today. So he showed me how to make brown, and but he used black. Eventually I met somebody else that taught me another way, whichever. But and it was awesome, man. We did the mural, then we did a couple other murals through the few months. But it was awesome. But eventually I met a guy too. His name well, not re-met, but I met back up with a guy named 90. 90 was one of the teachers of Kiko, or he taught Kiko, something like that. But 90's formula, he would do like water inside the Createx, and he would have like a solid color, solid black, 1-to-1 with half black, half water, and then 1 part black, 3 parts water for his tones. So one day somebody called from MTV and said, listen, we need a mural painted of Biggie Smalls and Jay-Z. I was like, yeah, something like that. What size you talking? Oh, 10 feet by 10 feet. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll do it. $1,000 each. They're like, you got any work out there? Anything online? I was like, online? No. I had a MySpace.
Oh, back then, yeah.
Terrible. And so I had, pictures and canvases up on the wall, but so eventually I never got the job. Who comes walking in at Pearl? 90. or his name was Floyd Simmons. He's like, hey man, just got this deal with MTV. They want me to do a backdrop of Biggie and Jay-Z. So I'm like, word? How much they paying you? He's like 10,000 each. I'm like,
Oh, what? You underbid
oh,
it big
man.
time, huh?
Underbidded. Oh my God. I'll charge you a nickel. So I was like, yo, can I come through? You know, so he's like, yeah, man. So I went over that night, and that's when he showed me, you know, he was he had the 10 feet, 10 foot by 10 foot canvas, and he was painting it black. And I'm like, now, from what I know, when you project on dark colors, it don't come out too good. I was like, yo, Nike, what are you doing? Why are you painting it black? He's like, yo, just chill out. Learn the method.
Yeah,
Sit and just chill. So this dude painted it
trust the
all
process.
black. And he used the super prism projector, and you know, he used a white pencil.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, he used a white pencil? What the fuck? I used to always use lead pencils. So
Yeah, the same
and
white table.
oh man. So he got through about 40% of painting Biggie. And so MTV had called and said, listen, change of plans. We don't need the Jay-Z, we just need the Biggie. He's like, well, I started it. And I'm saying, like, ooh, this dude lying his ass off. So what happened is he's like, yeah, I started it. So and they still paid him 10,000 for that one. The fucking canvas, the canvas was in the bag, folded up. I was like, oh my God. But so here's the interesting thing. I had a Yoshika, or I forget what kind of camcorder I had. It was 8mm. I was recording the whole 2 hours of him painting that portrait. Beautiful, beautiful portrait. I get home, no audio. So everything he was explaining out,
Oh, how you missed
done.
the audio?
I don't know what the freak happened, man. Ooh. So then eventually I ended up linking there was a guy that so at Pearl Paint we used to airbrush you know, little samples, and we would airbrushes. We would charge, I think, $20. So the artist, whoever would clean it would get 10, the store gets 10. And I'm like, it's a win-win. I'm on the clock. I'm making 10 extra dollars. It's taking me 20 minutes. I could get, you know, I would get like sometimes 6 or 7 airbrushes to clean. So this one particular guy came in. I forgot what his name was. He had a BC. So at the end of him needing all his parts cleaned, I think the total came out to like 180. I wrote everything out in front of him, ripped off the slip, gave him the slip, right? So when you come back, you pay for it, right? He had the slip with him. Mind you, at the same time, it was this girl, her name was, I forget what her name, Erin, or something like that. But she was just a mean son of a, it just, something about me rattled her. She didn't like how nice I was.
Oh,
Like, you know, so she would always give me flack. Always, like, why are you talking like that? Why are you trying to help them so much? So she was maybe not even 5 feet from me doing a count or something. But, you know, she always was eavesdropping, you know. So the guy comes in Wednesday. Let's say that was Monday. Wednesday, he comes to pick it up, and Wednesday was my day off. What? $175? I didn't tell him put that. I didn't tell him put that. I didn't tell him put Excuse me. Mind you, she was there. She didn't stand up for me. So I come back to work on Thursday. I'm like, okay, cool. Let me clock in. Okay. So Lee and Ellis, you know, Lee was the manager, Ellis was the assistant manager. They were like, hey Sam, we're gonna do things different today. You're not gonna go to the airbrush department. I'm like, what? You're gonna be in this aisle right here. You're gonna just stay and work this aisle. And I think that was the Velcro and something else. And I was like crushed. Like, what the fuck happened? What happened? I'm sorry to curse. But so they told me the guy freaked out. Shannon, that's what the girl's name is. And I'm like, Shannon was like not even 4 feet from me. She's like, I didn't hear anything. I wasn't there.
Oh wow.
So I was like, wow, you really just don't like me.
Mm.
So for like 4 months, I just worked that one aisle, and I wasn't allowed to go out to help with markers or anyway. I just stayed. I could just walk you over and just come right back. So there were a lot of people that would come. Yo, I need your help over here. I'm sorry, there's something bad happened. I'm not allowed to help over there. I don't like this fucking girl, man. She don't know shit. I don't know. Yo, why can't man fucking just come real quick? So it got to a point, Kelly, they would need help, trying to figure out colors or something, whatever. And they would come, I think that was the second aisle. So Koreatex was in the 8th aisle. They would walk over, and not that far, but still, you know what I mean? So eventually there was a guy that ended up coming working at Pearl. His name was Gary Worthington. And Gary,
That's the guy
yes,
from the class. Oh yeah.
yes. And so Gary was my savior. He was the angel. So eventually Gary used to work in a Pearl Paint in Florida. And they made him the manager over at the airbrush counter. And guess what he did? He got rid of fucking Shannon, sent her there to another counter. This is all the same floor, man. It was like, oh my God. So he came one day, he's like, Sam, and I swear Kelly was like, light.
Oh,
Sam, you're coming back to the airbrush counter.
your savior, huh?
Oh, yes, thank you. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it was awesome, man. Gary taught me a lot. And we would sign out canvases and we'd be over there painting stuff.
11.
And there was one particular day, these three guys came from the Bronx. And Gary had a DC character. I forget what his name was, but it was some badass shit. Gary, he was dangerous back then. And I had my little, I think I had the Rock. And this is when I used the HPB. And I was like, yo, this line is, I was making dots doing stubble.
Oh yeah.
So they're looking at us like, yo, these dudes is trash, yo. We could beat them anytime. Yo, I got something better than that. And we're like not even 4 feet behind these guys, just listening to them. And we both like look at each other like, is this happening? And we just, for someone to come from the Bronx down to Canal Street to our floor and beef about how they're better than us.
Oh man.
The realization, but I've never liked being compared to people. It just rattles me. It just makes me feel awkward.
Yeah.
But it was just funny, So we had this white display selling golden airbrush acrylics. So at this point, I think it was 2000. Yeah, so this is about 11 years now. And I was trying to perfect doing script. I just could not get script. I couldn't understand it. My script was decent. My handwriting was, I could write doctor notes, So my mom and my sister's handwriting, I used to practice doing theirs. Excuse me, but though when it came with the airbrush, I just couldn't get it.
Yeah.
And we would
like
sell. We had every airbrush action video.
Oh,
And I would watch these videos. And so we had a little TV. Kelly, the TV was about this wide. It was awesome. And it had a VCR right under it, right?
Oh, yeah.
And we put it in. I'm sitting there like, damn, you keep knocking it out. What am I not getting? What am I not getting? So I remember going to the library, getting books on calligraphy, script, everything. And I would practice, and I just could not get script. So this one display, it was white. I kept trying to do it, and I would white it out. So Gary's coming in. I was like, oh, shit, let me try to clean it up with white and be embarrassed,
Yeah.
And so I ended up kind of like, hey, man, what you doing? He's like, what you doing? And he pushes me out the way. I was like, I'm trying to learn script. He's like, yeah, that looks terrible.
Oh man.
Don't kill me, man. He's like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna teach you. So mind you, at this time, Kelly, I was probably practicing for like 7 months,
Oh
and I
wow.
just could not get it. And Gary spelled some name. I think he did my name or something. And I watched every Terry Hill, bless his soul, video. But what they never focused on was the stroke
Yeah.
of to do it. They just would do it real fast. And Gary did it, and it was like a door unlocked in my brain. I was like,
So then,
do that again?
I think verbally seeing it, physically seeing it, is probably what helped you more than watching it on the
Yeah,
video.
because I actually watched his finger control the trigger.
Yeah.
But a lot of times you get a wide angle of someone doing something, but you don't get the focus. So
Yeah.
I tend to hyper focus on things because I love, like, even in photography, I love the macro world. I love the little minute things because they matter to me.
Yeah.
So Gary spelled another name, and don't you know, life is always teaching. Lady comes in 10 minutes later talking, I need an airbrush shirt done with my name. My name is Catherine, something like that. I was like, yeah, I can do it.
Uh,
I know how to do the script. So at this point, I think it was practicing probably like an hour. So Gary was yes, yeah, Jaime had like incredible script. And so what happened was he's like, yo, you sure? You sure you don't want me to help you? No, I'm gonna do this at home. So I spelled Catherine with a C, like with a Z, like well, I tell you, I fucked that shirt up. I fucked it up bad. And this is when I started learning about the power of opaque colors.
oh yeah.
So she wanted, I think I had like a light blue, but Gary saw it. And I was like, yo, man, yo, Gary, what time you getting here? Oh, I'll be there in about an hour. Oh my God, I don't know when this lady's coming in. I got to work early that day at Pearl. So Gary gets there. He's like, what the fuck happened?
Hmm.
I don't know, man. I think it was an earthquake and it shook my hand. I was like,
Are you nervous?
so we got I'll never forget it. He got the opaque aqua and fixed the name. And who comes walking in 3 minutes later?
Catherine.
Oh God. Pay me, I think it was like $30. I went to hand Gary $20. He's like, what's that for? I was like, dude, you helped me out.
Saves me.
Your money ain't good here.
Oh man, that's cool.
Just give me some lunch. I was like, I got you. I love you. So, Gary would do these large portraits. And we would just I would just sit there and record the stuff. What happened was he did one of damn, I forgot what the artist. There was a artist that was I think he was in a wheelchair. I forget what his name, but it was a huge. It was like 4 feet wide by like 6 feet high. And he did it in a red. And I never would do a black and white portrait and then spray red, but Chuck Close, I'll never forget that. Came out so badass. Oh my God. So eventually I ran out of tapes. And Gary would tell me, oh, we're gonna do another portrait, just messing around. And so what we would do is we would fuck with customers. We would do these bad trip and falls, and we would just like have the ladder, and we were like doing early jackass shit in Pearl Paint. Man, we could have gotten so much trouble. So eventually, I found the recording tape, the 8mm tape of when I recorded the 90 that had no audio.
Yeah.
So one day I get to Pearl, I think I was like 5 minutes late, and I get to the corner of Lispenard and Church, and I hear this boom sound. I'm like, the hell is that? So I look up, and the trade towers were on fire.
Oh.
And so my silly behind, I'm like, oh, the maintenance man is gonna get in trouble. Oh, shit. Right? Oh, shoot, I gotta open the store. But so what happened was Just walking around. So what happened was I got to the corner, got inside Pearl Paint, and didn't realize I didn't know at the time that 9/11 was happening. So I got into the store, and what happened was I got upstairs, and that goom, it sounded, literally, it sounded like an 18-wheeler being dropped. Morning, Jim. It sounded like an 18-wheeler being dropped from like the 100th floor and hitting the pavement. But that was the first plane, and then second plane hit. So with that video camera that I had, sadly, what happened was I had 400 zoom on it. So with that zoom, I'm watching the buildings, and I'm seeing things falling, and I
Oh
couldn't
yeah.
understand what the hell. And so eventually, what happened was those things falling from the building were people,
Or people jumping. Yeah.
and I had 45 minutes left on this. The little it was a little cassette tape, all audio.
Oh wow.
So that first 2 hours of 90 painting, not one bit, not a scratch, nothing, not a second. But mysteriously, 9/11, it was recording. So they called us. We left Pearl. We walked, got to a friend's house in Alphabet City, and eventually we walked over to what was that? The Williamsburg Bridge, and it was so beautiful how the community down there, they were just handing out cups of water or bottles of water to people coming over the bridge, because it was scary. But when I started seeing people with soot in their face, it really started hitting me, and I started like shaking at one point. And Gary consoled me. He's like, "Dude, we're gonna be good. I just got to figure out how to get home from here. 'Cause, all the phones, everything was down.
Oh yeah.
So, being that I'm a walker, I don't on the call, I could be anywhere in Brooklyn. I know how to get anywhere, you know. So at the end of the Williamsburg Bridge, I told Gary, just no, actually the cabs were working. So Gary ended up taking a cab. Gary lived in Park Slope. He was probably like 20 minutes from being home. But I was like, no, dude, I'm fine, man. I'm just gonna walk home because I gotta shake this off. And walking is one of the things that helps distract me. It's like when I get nervous or angry or something, I gotta clean. I have to focus on something. It
Yeah.
helps me to, get through. So and that was scary. But eventually, Gary ended up leaving Pearl because his wife lost her job, and that job went under. So they moved back to Florida, and that was a sad day, man. I did not want him to leave.
Yeah. I
He
bet.
was like a brother to me. You
Yeah.
know, and so he moved back down to Florida, and who came in Gary's place? At that same moment, Gary was the manager. Leahan went down to 3. Ellis went to another floor. Ellis moved upstairs. Gary was the manager of 4. I was his assistant manager. He was teaching me stuff. So I didn't know the fuck what I was doing. I knew how to order stuff, but it was just wow. So eventually they moved the guy from the 3rd floor mezzanine up there, and he was a total asshole. Total asshole. But he could airbrush his ass off, though. I tell you that.
How long did you work at Pearl?
I was there at Pearl for 7.5 years, from 99 to November of 2006. Yeah.
So when did you? What happened? You did after that? Did you?
So interesting thing. So word got out about me to one of the guys. So a little back. So anytime when the reps came from Createx was Craig and his dad that owned Createx. Craig, dad Craig Kennedy.
I don't know.
Craig was the son, and his father owned Createx, and they would personally come to Pearl And you know, hey, what's up, Gary? How you guys are doing? But and I would always step to the side. Those are Gary's friends. I'm not gonna get in the way. You know, I'll give you your privacy. And Gary had noticed, you know, this was like early 2001. Oh, nice hoodie, like that. So what happened was, he's like, yeah, every time they come around, you always step to the side. What's up? Why you do that? I was like, no, those are your friends. I don't want to, you know. He's like, dude, they give you free pain. I'm like, word. But those your people. I don't know them. He's like, man, fuck that. When they come around, I'm gonna introduce you.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, you were
word,
cool like that, huh?
word. Gary's a Capricorn, man. We're Capricorns. We give you everything. Oh God. So what happened is met Craig, we had his dad, really, really awesome guys. And they started sending me free paint.
Oh
It was
wow.
the best. So how are you guys? So what ended up happening, why'd I tell that story? So eventually,
We're
I'm
talking about
everywhere
what
right
you did
now.
after. We were talking about how you after what you did after you left Pearls.
Oh, yes. So what had happened was Craig had spoke so well about me to a company called Tim 2. Tim 2 was, and till this day they make makeup.
Tattooing, right? Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
thought it was a
they make the
tattooing.
alcohol brand and then they have the makeup brand. So eventually he wanted to get me from Pearl, and I think I was making like 13 or 14 an hour. Excuse me. And so he wanted to get me on to make 17 or 18 an hour. So me being an a-hole that I want to share everything, I was like, hey, I can't leave without my boy. So he was like, I, I, I have enough resources to hire you. So eventually he finagled some stuff and he hired John too. So we ended up working in Long Island City and we left Pearl the November of 2006 together. So we were both managers leaving the same floor to go for the
Oh,
same company. So I was the chemist. I was making their Dura and airbrush line colors. And
oh, I know that paint. I know that paint.
so it was I learned a lot about colors. A lot about colors. And John would figure out the formulas to make the colors. So we were like 96 to like 99% on every batch because of John's formulas, and I would mix the paints. We had to weigh it. So, and that's why I learned water weight and alcohol weight are two different volumes in a sense. Um, so, and John was just like, I always knew he was an asshole, though I realized how bad of an asshole he was. So, I'll put you a story like this. Imagine a place maybe about 70 feet long by like 40 feet wide. So the first section was where the girls would take the paint into from the buckets into a squeeze bottle to feed it into like the 1 or 2 ounces. So then you would have to pass them to get to the father of Tim 2 and John's desk and then get to me. I was in the corner. So they would pass the father, they would pass John, and they would pass the other guy too that was doing the packaging and come over to me to ask, can you pick a box from right above them? So, oh, no problem. I did that so many times, mind you. So where I had to leave, I had to pass John, pass the dad, the guy that did the packaging to get to the girls. I would help the girls. So John eventually, dude, you're not keeping up the quota with your work. You got to stop helping them. All right. So it got to a point they would come and ask me for help. Well, I'm sorry, I don't. And who did they go complain to? The father, who was on the other side of John's desk. It was literally like fucking romper room. So then the father complained to John. John came chewing me out. Why aren't you helping him? And I'm thinking to
And
myself,
he was the one who told you to stop helping him.
what kind of ape shit is going on? So at this point, I was highly depressed. And then at the same time, my girlfriend and I were bickering, and My daughter had to be to school by like 8:30. She would get her ready by 8:15, and to take her. Luckily, it was a block away, but to do that, get upstairs, drop her off, get downstairs, and walk to the train station. It would. I would always get to work a half an hour late, and they gave me a warning: you come in late one more time, we're gonna fire you. And we had this huge argument. That if I get there late, I need you to just get her ready by 7:45, so everything will work out fine.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah, I don't. It's like I'm getting chewed out for being good here. I'm being chewed out for being good here. It's like, I just wanted to get kidnapped, Kevin. So eventually, they pulled me aside at Temp 2. We were working in Long Island City in a warehouse. And so, we got to let you go. Your performance is not, and I'm like, oh, it's okay. And so the dad was like, no, it's not okay. We shouldn't have to do this. And I'm like, and to this day, I feel they never wanted me there. They loved John.
That's what they wanted. Yeah.
But if you felt that way, just man up and just say, we don't need you. Because the guy that owned Temp 2, he wanted me to work in the office in Manhattan. And it's like, good morning. I'm like, it's fine. How are you? But it's fine. It's fine. I'll figure it out. No problem. And at this point, John and I would airbrush on Sundays in the Bronx. And I would travel, I think it was like 3.5 hours to get from Brooklyn to the Bronx. That shit was annoying. Annoying. God. But Taj was 7, and I lent John the little 8mm tape of a lot of Gary's samples, just being nice, and I wanted to get it back, but basically he just fired me. So I was like, let me let a couple months go past, and but I never contacted him, and so I eventually got back in contact with Ivan, because at one point he booked me when I was back at Pearl. He's like, yo, dude, it shouldn't be no problem. I'm booking you 2 months in advance on such date for this amount of hours. I need you. And it came to that day, 2 people called out, and there was one other new guy on the floor, and I couldn't call out.
Yeah.
So I had to tell Ivan, I can't, I can't leave a guy that's been here a week by himself on the floor, and he and I had a fallout. You're gonna let Pearl Paint run your life, So then fast forward, when I got fired, I was like, hey man, I know we had a falling out. I'm in need of a job. Whatever you could throw at me, I'd appreciate it. So I would work on Saturdays, airbrushing at bar and bat mitzvahs. And then at that time I was with my daughter at school every day. One of the best parts was when I got to play Santa.
Oh yeah.
And so Kelly, I tell you, I put the Santa suit on. So I literally had the suit on like this. So like right here, this was the only. So my daughter couldn't recognize me. So what ended up happening, she came in my room, and I was like, hi, little girl, what would you like? And she was so timid, but I wanted to hold and kiss her so much, and she looked so adorable that day. Oh my God. So she got home, she was super excited. We were handing out gifts to the kids and everything. It was a beautiful community center. It was government run and funded by. So I'll never forget, she got home, and I act like I was picking her up from school. I was like, so honey, what did you do today? Oh, Daddy, I saw Santa Claus. I was like, you saw Santa Claus? What?
I was surprised.
What did he look like? So we got home, and and she's like, Mommy, I saw Santa Claus. He had thick sausage fingers and ashy fingers like my daddy. Oh my God! It was this one. By the second year playing Santa Claus, she knew it was me.
She figured it out.
Yeah. So right even now, my finger knuckles are freaking ashy.
That's
But
that's how a
you know,
lot
I
of
got
people do. They
eczema,
always
man.
wash it
So,
and then paint and
but
then recolor.
yeah, man, it was pretty fun. Yeah, you know, but yeah. So eventually, I worked with Ivan and just kept working and kept working. And so 2007 was the last time I worked a job, which was with Tim2.
So you
And
been airbrushing like at parties
yeah,
and people.
yeah, just and eventually, sadly, when my mom had passed in 2015, it was getting slow business wise. No, actually, I lied. I lied. We ended up doing a some table. Damn, what is it called? Ivan ended up paying for two tables at this synagogue. So it was like a you show what you have. It was like not a flea market, but it was a flea market, whatever. So we sold three hats all day, and the old ladies were there selling their pearls, their scarves, and here we are with a photography and Airbrush setup. What is that fat knob? You know, and we sold three hats. And so two of the three hats, this lady comes over. Her name was Mindy. She tells Ivan and I, you know, I think this look would look great in my store. She's like, um, yeah, I want you guys. He's like, well, what do you mean your store? Where? Oh, Toys R Us, in Midtown.
Oh wow.
Oh, no fucking way. You know, so Ivan set up a couple meetings and we got into Toys R Us. And we were there from I think 2020, the latter part of 2013 to when they closed in 2015. So yeah, I always had an eye for photography, but you know, I never really worked on it.
Yeah.
I had this little toy camera. It was a Canon T2i. Um, though what happened was Ivan was like, dude, I know it's been slow and I feel real bad. Ivan hates when none of us are working, like when he doesn't get booked as much. He wants everybody to flourish. He's gonna flourish. If I'm flourishing, we're flourishing.
Yeah.
It's his motto, you know. So what ended up happening, oh he told me to get into the photography, and it's going to be expensive, and it's been great, you know. And sometimes I do photography, sometimes I do airbrushing. There was a party I was there, I was doing airbrush tattoos on a guy for like a carnival themed party, and then I went upstairs taking pictures of people in the party, you
Oh
know.
damn.
But it was
Multitasking.
great, you know. But working back at Pearl, man, and Pearl, I gotta tell the story real quick. So one day somebody calls, "Hey, I'm looking. My name is Ivan Piedra from Air Graphics. I'm looking for an airbrush artist." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm an airbrush artist." And he got quiet. He's like, "Hello?" I'm like, "Yeah, hello. I'm an airbrush artist. What you need?" And that was I think '99 or 2000 when I met Ivan. And it turns out he was working at a Pearl in. Hey guys, he was working at one of the Pearl Paints in New Jersey too. But I really wish this generation can experience a Pearl Paint because it was a true art store, Kelly. True art store.
Are they still there or are they not there anymore?
No, the owner got caught with embezzling money. One of the stores would make, let's say, 60,000 in cash, and they wouldn't declare it. And they went. The story was is they went to mail the box of cash on the conveyor belt. It fell.
Oh
The
man.
box opened. I swear they probably wet a napkin and put it over. It's taped, and the box fell over. Cash open. Where's this from? Who's it to? And he got caught embezzling money, I think, twice. And Pearl just wasn't the same. You know, we would at one point get like 100 nozzles and sell those 100 nozzles. But we were getting at one point after that, we were getting like 10 nozzles every month from the purchasing buyers. You know, it's like it was so terrible, you know.
Yeah.
But
So the Ivan, you and Ivan started
yeah, but
hooking
you
up.
know, I've been working.
Right? You've
Yeah,
been working
yeah,
with
man. So I've been with Ivan that long, you know, and man, this guy, he has a huge vision, and we traveled all the way, the tri-state, Boston, uh, LA. That was awesome. We went. It was five of us airbrush Nike Uptowns. We got there Thursday afternoon around 12:30 in LA. We went to Venice Beach, had lunch. We didn't have to work till Saturday. So we
Okay.
went and we bought some compressors, used the compressors, and then returned them back on Sunday.
Hey, that's how
But
sometimes you got to do things like that.
yeah, but yeah, man, with the photography part, he created this roaming booth. And with that booth, we were booked to go to. He went to Puerto Rico. I went to Italy and Rome with him, and we were hired to be on a cruise ship, and we would go from like 7 to like maybe midnight, just taking pictures of people. It literally, we could go anywhere on the dance floor. It was an iPad, ring light, and a monopod, and
Oh
he put
yeah,
it together.
I have two of those now.
You know, so he is the original creator of that. But he put different parts together. He couldn't trademark it. So, because he had at one point he took a red eye to one of the photo booth conventions.
In
So
Vegas.
everything that was there and realized what wasn't there, and he came back. I got this crazy idea. I want to get it out. I want to see if I can build. And it caused such a problem that everybody and their mother wanted it because
Yeah.
most photo booths were stationary in the corner
Yeah.
somewhere. And but he is the original creator
The
of
road light.
the booth. Yeah, but he called it the selfie booth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw it online somewhere. I don't know. It was like I think I was trying to buy it from one of those conventions, and I ended up buying. I have two of them for my
Yeah.
photo. So
So
when did y'all open your mall spot?
we've been here. We had a kiosk. Well, actually, yeah. When Toys R Us had closed in 2015, that was it. But we've been here. Mindy brought us here in 2021, January, late January. We had a kiosk. We did good, and we got a store now. Nice little gander of the store.
Yeah.
And some of the work that we've done, and a bunch of samples we have, hats,
Yeah.
basketballs, and such. Though, yeah, we've booked quite a few parties from being in here inside the mall here. So it's a lot of Hasidic Jewish people that are here, and with them, they love airbrush. It's great. And
Bar
it's
mitzvah. Yeah.
it's a little baffling, but it's in the same breath that they've never seen airbrush. So it's great, and So I used to work with another artist called Noel. He was back in Long Island, and that was a long trek. I used to drop my daughter off, go to him in Long Island, and airbrush, and I learned quite a bit. I didn't learn to trust myself. I used to always pencil everything out until I worked with Noel. Noel is an incredible artist. Among like Javier, Floyd, Kiko, Ivan, Gary Worthington. Wow.
How you know?
John.
How you know?
It's
That's how you know
John
Vargas.
John Vargas. So when we in the beginning parts of airbrushing for Ivan, at one point, John eventually came, and I'll never forget. John would speak the most backward English, and he told me he learned how to speak English from watching Ace Ventura. I don't know if he told you that. That is the most mind-boggling shit ever. Oh my God. With John, I think really John should have been a freaking physicist, astrophysicist, because I've seen this man build a contraption out of foam core where it had a lever and it locked on itself, all out of foam core.
Oh wow.
And John's like on another level. He just really he utilizes his other 90% when he wants where most of us like if we can, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, we were airbrushing years ago, and Ivan taught John how to airbrush. I believe John was the one that on it. So we were in Ivan's basement doing we were doing camp clothes. They would have it was a camp, and this lady would bring like $1,000 worth of orders, and we would all knock them out, and we would just split it. So eventually, I grew up doing peace. I never peace sign.
So
So John
it's gonna break up
showed
again.
me little line, and I was give it. Hold on, let me get my
Your
antenna.
spirit again.
Yes, yes. But yeah, John taught me how to do peace signs, and then eventually he taught me how to do soccer ball. Something so easy. I never did anything like that. Because growing up in Brooklyn, who would want a peace sign? Nobody ever.
Yeah.
You know, I always concentrated on script and doing portraits. You know, and that's what I was very good at. Though between Noel and the other guys, they taught me other forms of fonts, you know, and
Yeah.
just using shapes and just trusting yourself, you know. But I ended up airbrushing downtown Brooklyn through Noel's Art of Your Mind is what the store was called, and that was terrible. I tell you, Brooklyn people, I love them, but they want $1,000 worth of work and want to pay you $5, and they want a
Yeah.
discount on the $5. I'll
Yeah.
put it to you like
Dude,
that. But one of the hardest jobs I did was this girl. She had a BlackBerry, and I had the iPhone 5. She wanted to send a picture from her BlackBerry to me, to my phone, airbrush it, because she needed it the next day. And I'm like, nope. You got to print it out. So I didn't want to deal with. She's being all ratchet. I was like, nah, go to the guys up the block. Now at the same time, when they had portrait orders, they were sending portrait orders to me.
you.
So I
Yeah.
just didn't want to deal with the girl. What I went up there and they said you the one to do the portrait order. I was like, well, listen, if you can give me a physical print copy of the face, knowing nobody was able to print one out, I just said, listen, go around the corner and just get it. I'll do it for you. I'll do it for you. 175. I got you. She couldn't find nobody. She came back. Why can't I just send it to you? So I tried to explain to her that, you know, pictures degrade. It could be an iPhone 12 and you send it to someone with a Samsung or Android. And the rivalry to this day, they downgrade the picture. It looks like it's from the 80s. I don't know why they do that. Though, but yeah, like I said, it was a BlackBerry to an iPhone. You might as well be painting Qbert. It's gonna be pixelated. It's gonna be terrible, you know. But but yeah, I never had a shop on my own like this one. But continue. So yeah, this is our only the American Dream Mall. So many people they come touring. You guys need to come to like Baltimore. You guys need to come to Milwaukee. I'm like, okay, you get me a ticket. I'll be there. I'll come.
Yeah.
I'll be there for 2 hours. you
Yep.
know, but
That's the minimum.
but I tell them, listen, we can ship to you, and their eyes light up. They love that we can ship. We charge $9, and between here and LA, it's usually like $10. You know, because hoodies and shirts don't weigh that much. You know.
No.
But yeah, so yeah, there was a couple other airbrush artists in the area, but I always hear bad stories about people buying airbrush stuff from Etsy, supposedly.
Oh yeah, it's. I have people come in here with the same thing, or they'll buy a transfer design and thinking they're gonna actually get the transfer shirt, and they actually just get
It's
a file.
terrible.
Yeah, they actually get a
Oh
file.
no.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I had a couple come in, and they actually said that they paid somebody through Etsy for like 20 basketballs. And they came in last minute. It was like 2 days before the party. They wanted me to do, I think it was like 20 shirts. Because the person just never answered their call. They just ghosted them. And I was like, well, you need to blow them up. Give me their name. I'll blow them up. You know, whatever I can do to help you.
Yeah.
You know, she's like, it's all right. But that's why I played with a credit card. I was like, oh, she's going to get her money back.
Yeah.
You know, but it sucks that that person just dipped on her. I don't know how much she charged for the 20 basketballs, but it sucks. You know, you're just making a bad name for, you know, people out there having a business. Not necessarily you know, someone that's airbrushing, but it's like, oh man, it's so bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I love working with other artists, man. I'm a goof, and people know. So my airbrushes, when if you ask anybody, they know I call my airbrushes my ladies. And these are my ladies right here.
Oh wow, you still rocking
Yeah.
the Paches too, huh?
Yes, sir. So like fluorescent pink, purple, fluorescent pink. You know,
Yeah.
I love using so many different airbrushes. I got badges. Mostly Iwatas. I've tried some of those cheapy startup airbrushes that they're okay. They're like less quality than the Bear Air airbrushes. You know,
Yeah. What
I
PSI
really
you
miss
playing
that company.
What
Usually
PSI?
about 90,
Like,
90, and yeah. But I use I have Evolve right here, so sometimes I go a little lower, or sometimes I go back up to 90. Um, but yeah, because some colors are just a little they're hard to get out at time, and
yeah,
there's times that I'll do 2 or 3 saturations of it because excuse me, like my personality, I'm very intense at times, and when you have air, I will run your ear off, you know, and I get very like, so you like anime? I love anime too. This is great. I got a story, so, you know, so I paint like
yeah,
that too. So yeah, you know, and you know, I use a heat gun all the time. I love heat guns.
yeah. I love heat
The
gun over
damn
air
near the
dry.
greatest thing ever done.
Yeah,
You
I love
know,
heat gun over the air dry
and
because
so
you could dry layers faster. With the
oh
heat gun,
yeah,
you can
yeah.
dry
Now
your layers.
listen, I've cooked. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Now I've turned some hats into some marshmallows a couple times. Some
Yeah,
trucker
the
hats.
foam hats.
You know what I'm saying? That marshmallow.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Been there, done
terrible.
that.
Like, oh, I've cooked my fingers a couple times. It's, you know,
Right,
it's
I have
real
a back.
dope. It's real dope. But yeah, you know, I love learning. You know, I'm still learning because there's so many ways you can do the same thing. You
There's
know,
always
and
somebody got something different that you don't know.
oh yeah, the approach is always also. So at one point too, I eventually linked up with so back to Pearl Paint again. Gary and another guy that worked there, his name was Jake. Um they went to Airbrush Getaway in New Jersey, and so they were like, "Yo, just come through. You sleep in the room." I slept on the floor. I had no problem. Wow, what year was this? This was like I think 2000, some point mid 2000. And I was like, for all my airbrush years, I've always wanted to go to Airbrush Getaway. And I got there and there was barely anybody there, and I was so let down. But I was telling people, you know, in New Jersey, you could pay like the $22, like you're gambling, and they give you a voucher to get back on the bus. I mean, no, a voucher. So I think you pay 22. They give you like a $12 or $15 voucher to get money back. So you literally pay $7 or more to go and come back to New York, you know? And I'll never forget saw this guy from that was there for Iwata. A very, very calm Japanese dude, you know. And he had the system, I forgot what it was called. It was It was like a 7 bottle setup, and it had tubes, and it hooked up to one BC airbrush. Do you know what a BC is?
No, no.
This is a BC.
Where is that from? That's a Iwata?
So Awada used to make these, but they were almost $180. So Pache, I think in the late '90s, made the VL. The VL was to combat this because the V's were outselling Paches. So the Paches were like $70. So listen, I'm gonna pay almost $200 or $70. I'm gonna go with the $70. So eventually, when Awada started losing sales in that, this is an assumption of the stories I've heard. That's when eventually they came out with the Awadas, the Eclipses. The Eclipses, the round, the cap used to be a little different. I think this used to be one piece. Then eventually they had to separate it because it was making problems or something. But eventually they came out with the Eclipse, and the Eclipse ended up damn near outselling the VLs.
Yeah.
More. But yeah, the BC is a gorgeous gun. I mean, it's like the Maserati. You know how everybody talks about having a Micron?
Yeah.
The BC is the Maserati of bottom feeds, man. You cannot go wrong. They are angled different and they spray softer. They're and the needles just like incredibly detailed.
That's 5mm.
Yeah, this is I believe it's a 5. And then they have a smaller one, which is a 0.4 millimeter, but they spray softer too. When I'm doing portraits, I always use my BC. But yeah, I combine, whatever I can use,
Yeah.
knives, forks, spoons, whatever I can use. But
For me to open up. Let me knock out these last ones. I don't want to rush you out of here, but it's almost time for me to open up. But I know people.
Yeah.
So, any advice for any up and coming artists?
Just reach out. The hard part when I was at Pearl, I would have people come there with like $200. I want to get a compressor, airbrush, paints, and some t-shirts, which is not possible. No. And I would tell them, listen, this compressor is not gonna be strong enough to put. I don't care, man. I saw a guy, he want to open the shop. I'm gonna open up shop. So in that spiel, that runoff spiel, try to find someone to learn from. You can get but so far just doing things on your own. Yeah. Don't be afraid to mess up. You're always gonna mess up. I mess up to this day. You just gotta learn how to, fix. But I wish the community was a little bit more about teaching. I don't like that we do so many competitions where, let's see who has the best portrait, the best word style. I feel personally we should be more about teaching, less about judging and about the winner.
Back in the day, it used to be like everybody would try to hide their. They didn't want nobody to learn.
Yeah, because everybody was competition.
Yeah.
But there's millions of people in every city, and it's like
enough money out there for everybody. So
there's more than enough, hand over fist. And that's why I wish that we still had a resource out there, Airbrush Action.
Yeah.
But I just wish that we would do more classes or like online. I would love to. I'm terrible at answering texts, of course, So,
yeah.
But every once in a while, I will go on the Facebook page and find one of the airbrush class, not classes, but airbrush pages. I just feel that we should. Hey, let's do something where everybody tries to do something. One of my Achilles heels are doing flags. I don't do enough flags. I've done okay flags, Let's do something where we all talk about where we're not good at. Someone in the community is good at.
Yeah.
And let's work on that. That's how I feel.
There was a time, a couple of months ago, I was doing the 15-minute, I would ask somebody to come on live like this and paint a design live so everybody can see them do it. So if you're open to it,
Probably
Mm.
one day next week. I'll probably holler at you again and see if you want to do one live like this here.
Oh yeah. I would love that.
So people can see it.
Yeah, man. And it's I got a buddy, Al Aiglet. I think you interviewed him, Al Aiglet.
Oh yeah.
He works out. So yeah, we would collab a lot, man. And I met him through Pearl. He would go. I think he used to travel all the way from Baltimore to New York. And I would just invite everybody over to this. Yeah, man, come spend the night, and we gonna paint in the morning. You know, I hope you don't kill me, but let's paint. So,
Yeah.
and I missed that because where I lived in Brooklyn, I had a studio downstairs. I had this big comforter and a futon, and Al would just stay down there, and I slept upstairs. I come down, and he wake up, he just see paint, and it's like, dude, to eat, breathe, and sleep that, and it's Createx and Aquaflow. I love those two. I remember Medea. Medea had a beautiful paint line called Medea by Uric. I don't know if you ever used that.
Isn't that like illustration? Is that
No, that was Comart.
Oh, come on.
Comart was terrible. So I at one point, the little box kits they had with the Eclipse, the small compressor, they had it come with Comart.
Yeah.
So I spoke to the Iwata. I was like, people hate getting the Comart because it's so water t-shirts. I was like, why not you guys just put the textile colors? Yeah, but it's we can teach them how to enter to make it work. The kits will sell so much more.
Yeah.
Like almost $300 at Pearl Paint. But Uric, you ever heard of Uric?
No. Never heard of that.
Uric, if you look up on him up online, this dude was like, when it came to animals, this dude was like no other. Oh, wow. And he was using microns on like huge t-shirts and like art style paper. But he would capture every follicle, every hair.
Wow.
And he was another one that I learned a lot from too. And there was one of my all-time favorite artists was oh man, what was his name? Well, Jaime Rodriguez. Phenomenal.
All right.
But there was another guy, I forget what his name was, but he did hair like nobody's business. He would take and he would airbrush it to spell a name. Henry Assel. Henry Assel. I don't know if you ever heard of him. But he does oil paintings now. But he had such a beautiful style. Oh my gosh. Beautiful style. But yeah, I just wish that we as a community were a little bit more and I think some people, they should not be doing airbrush work when they're not ready. That's just,
I think back in the day, some people would tell you, you rather get paid to practice. Get paid to practice, and that's what they would do.
yeah.
And that's what
I understand, but to the average person that buying out here, it looks great.
They don't know.
You know,
we would know, but the people who purchase it really don't know.
Yeah. But the number one thing that kills me to hear, how much does it cost to spray paint the shirt? And I'll be like, well, spray painting is not good on t-shirts. And they're like, huh? What do you mean? So back when we were,
how much you going to charge me? How much you going to charge me? Depends on what you guys get. So what's one of your biggest pet peeves? Teaching is one of your biggest pet peeves. They can lose you again.
Try to give people a little history lesson. Most of them is like, because being I forgot who was the creator of the airbrush back in 1892 or something like that, but they used it as a photo retouching tool, you know?
Yeah.
And I try to tell people this, it's not spray paint. And I'll show them, Kelly, I'll show them a spray can and I'll show them an airbrush. I'm like, do these look the same? And they're like, okay. And they'll just go on.
The difference.
Because it's people is like either painting with a brush, only in the world. No other art matters.
Yeah.
Oh, he's knitting. Yeah, that's spray paint.
Yeah.
Stupid. Yeah, you know, yeah, we're looking for another artist here. It's just hard. Ego people and say I can do it now. A little bit. No one's build a family. They just want right here, right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
This. Oh boy, this is probably the crappiest podcast you ever did, man.
No, it's good. It's good. I gotta get ready to know. though. So, is there anything you wanna anything you wanna talk about? Yeah, we've been going almost 2 hours. What was the last question? One of the last questions. Is there anything you want? Anything else you want? I think I'm losing you again.